What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my new series of Is it possible to beat Persona 3 Portable using only Pixie? Timestamps are in the description if I don't forget to put them there. To refresh your memory, Pixie is basically one of, if not the first Persona or demons that you get in a Megaton game, and she's designed to only be useful for a small portion of the game before you fuse her up for a better Persona. As per custom of every part in this series, let's look at the rules again. One is, I can't switch off my Pixie once I get her. I have to keep the very first Pixie I get for the whole run. Second is, no new game plus. Not that it'll matter on Maniac difficulty, but just as an example for other runs. Which brings me to my next rule, which is that I have to be playing on the hardest difficulty. Since I'm emulating, I'm also going to ban the use of save states or any other external changes except for the speed button. Hopefully that intro wasn't too boring. Let's get into the video. After grinding to level 26, I fuse Shiza, who gives me Gale Slash, my first multi-target physical move, and my first medium strength attack. Later, Elizabeth tells us about people who go missing into Tartarus, and you can get rewards from Officer Kurosawa from saving them. Nothing else really happens until the fourth full moon. We find out a shadow is hiding in the hotel, and eventually find where the boss is. The Hierophant is an obese man who likes to spam Mazionga and Prophecy of Ruin, an attack that inflicts fear on the party. Unfortunately for us, I didn't buy any Maypatra gems from the pharmacy, so that made this very annoying. Also, if it uses Mazionga, it basically gets a second turn because of Yukari's electricity weakness. However, using Magic Mist to avoid Yukari's weakness really helped. Other than that, same as always, debuff with Makoto and Akihiko, items with Yukari, and attack with Junpei. It doesn't take long before the obese shadow falls. So after that, we may or may not have a way to get out of the hotel. We find out later that that was not the shadow we were supposed to defeat. So, to find out where the new shadow is hiding, we have to break mirrors that don't show our reflection. Eventually, we find the shadow, and thankfully, it uses fire attacks, which none of my party are weak to, and their ailment skills have a much lower probability of hitting compared to the last boss. It manages to charm some of my allies, but I can easily cure it with the dish charms I've been hoarding. The boss goes down without too many problems. A few days after the fight, we are going to Yakushima, but I first plan to get the third block of Tartarus out of the way. The first boss is not a problem, but the second boss is, and has been a pretty big problem in most of my runs. It has Mazionga and poison-inducing moves, and he likes to spam these pretty much every turn, so unless you plan to waste lots of time healing the poison, I say to just live with it. It's also really strong, so keep Tarunda on it or he'll destroy you. It also has Mind Charge, so just guard when he does, otherwise he'll kill you. My main way of attacking is Akihiko's Sonic Punch and praying Junpei lands a critical hit since he's in great condition. Another thing that made this fight really difficult is that I only had one revival bead, and even though I have Recarm, I need to use Makoto's turns on buffs and debuffs at this point in the game. I always found this one of the hardest bosses in my runs, but after several attempts, I beat the boss. After that, I fuse Lamia, who gives me the Agilao skill card, my first medium magic attack, which I teach Pixie in place of Miragi. The next day, we go to Yakushima, and we learn a bit more about the Dark Owl, giving the game some much-needed backstory. The next day, we all hang out at the beach, and the guys, well, more accurately, Junpei starts a guys-only mission called Operation Bayfront, which we fail horribly, but not everything goes badly. The last girl we try to pick up, my favorite character in the game, Aegis. No, not Aegis, but Aegis. Yeah, in the American release it was spelled wrong for whatever reason, but we're getting off track. Everyone else fails miserably to strike up a conversation except us. Being the anime game protagonist we are, we scare her off and later find her in the woods, which she hugs us for whatever reason.
My highest priority is to be with you.
What? I can't believe this!
Later on, we find out that Aegis is the last anti-shadow weapon created, and she has the ability to summon a persona. When we come back, we have exams again, and for the first time, I score the highest in the exam, and the reward for this is the Matarukaja skill card, which I swap in place of Tarukaja. On the same day, I start the Devil Social Link with Tanaka, my first nighttime social link, and later max out the Hermit and start the Tower Social Links. Over the summer, we have a swimming tournament, which acquaints us with Mamoru, our star social link character. 3 days later, I find out that we have enough opals to buy the most important skill card of the run, Growth 3. Now it will be a lot easier to get skill cards from personas, because I don't have to rely on social links anymore. As you probably guessed, I immediately started farming this little shrine. On our next full moon mission, we go to an underground bunker, where we have our first encounter with Strega, starring Jin and Dekaya. They lock us in the bunker to fight the Shadow, which seems kinda stupid seeing that was our goal in the first place. And now we have to look for the boss. And by looking for the boss, I mean holding forward until we find it. This full Shadows of the Justice and Chariot Arcanas. As you might have expected, it uses physical attacks, which are stronger than magic, but at least we don't have to worry about it hitting our weakness. The main issue in this fight is that you have to take them both down in the same turn, otherwise the other one will use Sama Recon, fully reviving it with full HP, which is what happened to me on the first attempt, so I gave up and tried again. I got a critical hit with Gale Slash while I was separated, but refrained from using Swift Strike with Aegis, otherwise the other one would get back up and use Sama Recon. But I actually did get a critical hit with Kill Rush, and we were able to finish it off with an all-out attack.
Let us commence with an all-out attack. Fatal strike.
After that, Koromaru gets added to our party, and I head back to Tartarus to beat the next two bosses. This first one is weak to fire, so I just use my best fire party, and it goes down easily, but the next boss is much more troublesome. Its Magarudine isn't the real problem here. It's a move with a name I don't want to say. Let's just call it Mama Aaron Karin. Inflicts charm on the whole party, so I have to use my magic mirrors to make sure it can't charm me. The times that it did use it and I didn't have my magic mirror to protect me, I got really lucky and only one of my party members actually got charmed. This fight was pretty much smooth sailing.
It's a persona. Enemy.
After I make it to the top of that block, I fuse Komukuten for his Counter-Strike skill card, and later on, Kanemata joins the party. When Shinji hears this, he also joins the party because he's worried about Kim. Again, pretty much nothing else happens until the next full moon boss. Before we can fight the Shadow, Junpei gets kidnapped by this girl he's been seeing called Chidori, because she thinks he's our leader so we can threaten him to call off the mission. We decide to do the mission without him and fight the new Shadow. I use Shinji in this fight instead of Aegis simply because, well, the boss specializes in electric attacks, which is what Aegis is weak to. The fight goes really well, simply because the boss doesn't really use his trump card, Giga Spark, which is basically a better Miziodine. The boss goes down without any problems.
Alright, let's kick some ass.
Before I go to complete the next block of Tartarus, I start the Sun social link with Akinari, and regrettably, max out the Moon social link with Nozomi. The first boss is easy, and now we have to fight the most infamous boss in Persona 3, the Sleeping Table. Now, to refresh your memory, the Sleeping Table is, well, a table that loves to spam Miragi down in Megi Doga. But that's not the problem here. The problem is that it has Sphere skills, along with Ghastly Wail, which instantly kills enemies inflicted with fear. Thankfully, it didn't use it often, and I beat it.
The enemy's off balance. Commence with an all-out attack. Fatal strike.
After that, I reach the top of the fourth block and get the App Pupil skill card from Okuninushi, and the Heatwave skill card from Dionysus. About a week later, we have the Culture Festival, which unfortunately for us, a typhoon knocks us out for 3 days, which the entire Persona Q story happens. But all that happens in this game is Igor telling us about special fusions. On November 24th, we're all assigned group cleanup, and this is where the game punishes you for dating multiple girls. Thankfully, I've only been doing one girl social link, so we're fine. Later on, I maxed out the Devil social link and started the Star social link. And that's all I really have for this part. The series has become really fun, and I'm planning to finish the series for sure. And yeah, if you guys really feel like it and you like this content, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.